Hello, this is Klassicalkill, guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying the series. I'm bringing you another episode of Silver to Diamond. This is episode 13, and today our main topic is going to be jungle tracking. Yes, jungle tracking. Now, jungle tracking is actually not as hard as it seems. It's very simple as long as you are paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you can easily start losing where the enemy jungler is. But that is why you need to try to adapt this into your gameplay in like a way where it's second nature and you don't have to think about it so much. Now here, this is a really rough game. Like it's really hard to decide where I want to path early on. Typically, I don't want to be pathing into a KO lane because it's very hard to actually get anything done in that lane. So I'm trying to coordinate with my Kale to see if I can get a ward on the Nocturne so I can see where he starts. Now if I can see where he starts, it will change how I path. I see the Nocturne also pathing towards bot lane by starting on his Raptors or his red. So I said to the Kale, hey, you can go now. Like the only thing I needed him to come over was to help me like get a ward securely. But I got enough information on the Nocturne to know like he's starting on the top side. We're gonna meet together at the bot side. So immediately my thought is like, okay, if I can get to bot lane before Nocturne, I can get the gank off and we can win the game pretty easily. Or I can get a nice lead in the bot lane early on. Here I'm smiting blue buff early because blue actually has more defenses than red and takes longer to do. So I'm going to try to smite blue to just help with the deficit of the fact that I don't have a leash. And that's okay. It's actually really good to start leashless, especially in high elo where people try to track you all the time. Because if you hide where you start from the enemy team, they can't make better judgments with their pathing. See, I think it would have been better for Nocturne actually path straight to top side because then he would be able to pressure the Kale early on in a really weak state. Now here, I was thinking about ganking mid, but I had second thoughts because I saw the fight bot lane, and also Graves is can easily dodge my ganks with his E, so I wasn't too keen on going mid. I see there was some trading going on. I saw flashes blown and on the Kai'Sa, so I'm like, okay, as soon as I get this red, I'm going straight bot lane. We can kill Kai'Sa. They traded really hard. They pinged all of their sums. This is a really good gank to go for. I'm here before the Nocturne, and if I go for the Kai'Sa, she's immediately dead. I was holding on to my Q to see if I could go for the Seraphine if they already got Kai'Sa. I end up going for the Kai'Sa. We kill her, and then Seraphine flashes away. And here I stay. It's very important you stay in this position because we know Nocturne is bot side. He's on his wolf camp or his blue. So we make sure we get the lane in. And now we're 3v2 in this fight. I go for the Seraphine because she has no flash. And Ashe has the same idea. Me and her collapse on her. And then me and Ashe fight the Noct together as the Nocturne takes the Nyla. Now this is a huge advantage. Again, we have to make sure we push out the wave so it won't freeze on the enemy team and it will be forced to bounce back. See, if Kai'Sa actually held the wave there and froze it, that would have been really bad for us. But she actually just hits the wave and Nyla is able to get back to lane before the minions actually die. So she's not missing anything, which is great. And now I have a huge lead. I'm 2-0-1. And I'm going to show you guys how I can use the knowledge of jungle tracking to just beat the enemy jungler. Now here, I have to be pinging my Kale. Like, I should have been pinging Kale. Like, you have to be careful here because Nocturne is topside. I know he's topside because he was clearing top to bot lane. And if he decided to go for his bot lane camps, that would be really bad of him because there's nothing to do bot lane right now. So I go here to check the crab first. And I see Darius is pretty low. I see the crab is taken. So Nocturne was actually just here. So he's here for the gank. But I flash onto the Darius, get the kill. The Kale actually, I don't know how she managed to get the Darius so low HP without and win trades. Here, I'm not so scared to take the fight Because I remember I bought a Caulfield's Warhammer and a longsword on my first back, so I do a lot of damage. So I was pretty confident there. Now I'm pinging the Kayle, like, just be careful as you push this wave in, because Nocturne can still stick around, and she has no resources right now. So she does the smart thing and resets while I continue to clear down towards my bot side here. And now I'm just clearing. Nothing special, nothing's crazy is going on the map. My top laner and my middle laner are on resets, coming back to their lanes. So this is really good news for us. We haven't died in a negative way yet. Like the death that Nyla had was a trade for 2, so it was actually really worth that we got that trade. And we want to play this game slow as possible. The slower it goes, the better it is for us, because our team it scales insanely hard. I was forced to kind of go bruiser this game because we have a Kayle, Victor, and Nyla, so some really hard hyper carries and Ashe support. So I needed to be like there needed to be some sort of front line, so I decided to go bruiser via this game. Ashe is slowing the Seraphine here. I tried to get in range to Q, but I wasn't quite in range. I see the Xayah walk up. I cancel an auto attack, but it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. She ghosts on me. The Graves is here. Great exhaust coming out from the Nyla or the Ashe. I'm not sure who did it. And we all make it away safely. I should have respected the timer of the roam timer of the Graves. I expected Nocturne to be there, but I actually didn't know that Graves was roaming. As we can see, the Victor is spam pinging us. Now we do lose some control on the bot side of the map, and they're gonna take the bot, the first dragon, which is okay. Like, as long as I'm moving over quickly, and I negate the 4-man bot lane, and as long as I'm there in the right spot at the right time, like, nothing, the enemy team is not gonna get a crazy lead at all. This Darius we're facing is actually a Smurf too. He's got a 70% win rate. It's kind of scary. That's why I didn't really want to path into him, because if I'm his play and then this guy gets a lead and carries the game, it's going to be really hard to win the game. If you're ever versus a Smurf top lane, just path away from them and have your top laner play passive, and you can easily get kills, or you can easily win games against Smurfs like that. You kind of put the pressure on them to get a lead. Here, I try to go for an invade. Kind of sketched out. Graves is missing. Nocturne comes. Darius is missing. So I just start pathing away. I kind of like walked back because I thought like they would be going back to their lanes. And I was thinking maybe I can go Rift. But then I'm like pinging Nocturne's level 6. We don't have pressure anymore. We should be playing safe rather than playing fast. Or trying to like get lots and lots of leads. We want to just play slow and let our golds build up. Even if we're even, we're actually ahead of the enemy team. So that's how you want to think about it right now. I'm thinking that Nocturne might be on this Rift Hero, so I'm checking to see if he's on it. He's not on it. And now I'm looking, maybe you can gank this guy if not Darius tries to step up in the big wave, because he's a lane bully, of course. And I'm not so sure if this guy's got like vision in this bush, so I'm not trying to stay too long. I see him backing away, so I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go for this play top lane. Then I peer over to mid lane and see that Graves actually just destroyed the Victor. So I'm thinking, you know, I can't go for this because Nocturne will counter me. But then the bot lane comes and I'm like, oh, okay, we can definitely go for this. So he flashes my Q, so I just follow him with my ult. Really great trade there. And then I push out the wave for the Victor. And Darius actually misplays really hard. He almost kills Kayle, but Kayle gets a really clutch ult off, and he ends up dying, flashing on your tower. And now I see this Nocturne. I don't have 6 right with me right now, but I see the TP coming from Victor, so I'm like, if I can kite this out, we can kill this guy. I have got my magical footwear now, and I see him from my red trinket, and then I finally let go of Q. I never like to make a habit of queuing without seeing my target first. And I make a really nice flashy play here. I kind of just try to predict his line, like the way he's pathing to get land this Q here. I just said I normally don't go for plays like that. But because I got a glimpse of vision on him, I was able to see the direction he was walking in. So I just like kind of cut him off the corner. He was hugging the corner of the wall. So as long as I Q in that direction, I'm guaranteed to hit it, and that's how I land that Q. It's actually not as hard to hit that one as most people would think. It looks flashy, it looks cool, but it was actually pretty simple. Now here, I'm not going to stay on the map for any longer. I don't have ult up. I don't have any plays to make. Perfect time to base and spend my 1600 gold. And now I'm going to be heading back towards my bot lane. My bot side of the map. Now, ideally, I get the Rift Herald off in mid lane. But I kind of have doubts about that. We see the Nocturne coming, able to gank the Victor. I wasn't able to get there in time because I was coming off of a reset. Victor needed to respect the fact that I was coming off of a reset a little bit later than his was. But I see the Graves walk up. I get the E auto attack slow on him. I ult him. I know he doesn't have flash. I Q him back in that direction. I see Nocturne coming over, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just back off, because if Nocturne tries to fight here, then I'll lose. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to drop my Rift. Nocturne doesn't have ultimate, so I won't die here when I go in vision. Yes, you need to be thinking about that. If you're not thinking about what Nocturne has up right now, like, I literally die. And we see Seraphine coming off a roam. This is a really bad roam for Seraphine. That's why she can't really punish me for doing this. Because you see Graves is not mid lane. So her trying to come mid lane right now when the mid laner's not there is really bad. Also, leaving her AD carry when she's being pushed in is really bad. You don't want to be doing that as a support. You want to roam on timers where AD carry is not doing anything. Not when your AD carry needs to get a reset off. And now she's forced to stay in lane here. And now look, I have a really great chance to gank, gank right here in bot lane. Seraphine doesn't make it back. However, Ashe is there, and I get my level 7. I'm walking over. I Q in. I know that their enemy team is coming, so I don't commit fully in. I Q in and immediately turn away, and now I jump back because I know Graves is going to come after me if I try to continue fighting. So I'm waiting for my Q to come back up so I can be effective again as a teammate. I'm not effective if I'm unable to use my abilities and actually DPS people down. If I went in there, I'd actually die. So instead of a 2 for 2, we go for a 1 for 2 trade, which is really good. And now we're like in heavy pressure. I'm really strong right here, so I go in onto the Graves. I killed the Graves, but Nocturne was actually hovering there, which is really good by him. Like, that was a great play by him. I should have saw in foresight, like, hey, Nocturne still has this play where he can ult on top of Graves and save him. Graves was kind of tanky because he's 2 levels ahead of us, so he's got like lots more stats than us. That's why I took my ultimate to actually kill him there. But then we see Nocturne trying to like force this dragon here, and this is amazing for us. Kale TP comes out. Bot lane is still trying to relieve the pressure mid lane, and they're losing a lot of HP for it. I think Victor goes for the reset here, but now we're going to be 4v4 with Kale at this fight. So Darius can't follow because he doesn't have TP. The Ashe hits a really good ult onto the Seraphine, and I get I'm kind of messed up my combo, but I still get the kill. I'm able to chase down the Kaisa afterwards, and the Graves just does so much damage to me. He literally did like 600 damage in under a second. Like in 2 milliseconds he did a ton of damage. I would think it was like an auto attack Q but double bounce and an E auto attack reset, and he does that much. It's just crazy. That champion is disgusting. However, we still get the dragon, and we're in a really good spot, and I'm thinking if I should reset here or continue farming my camps, and I decide to farm. I'm pretty close to my Trinity Force, so I think the best time to back after this is to get my Trinity Force first. I'm just keeping an eye on my bot lane right now. And now I'm going to reset here because I have my Triforce. And I want to try to ping this Kale to be safe, but I look at the fight, and it looks she's winning it really hard. So if Nocturne were to ult on her right now, he would have to be able to play around the fact that she is ulti right now and Darius can't walk up. So I just don't ping her at all. I leave her, and now I'm pinging mid lane because I know for sure after getting that tower, Nocturne is ulting our Victor. But I call it out too late. Like, I should have been calling that off a little bit earlier. Victor has been kind of eating the brunt of the jungle's pressure, but it's been okay because I've been matching it. That's the main thing here. I've been matching the pressure, so you can't really get away with things. And I know Nocturne has no ult here, so I can actually take this fight. I kind of like juke him to pretend like I'm not going in for the fight, and then I turn around and flash. There's no tower here, so I can just RQ, and that's enough to kill him. However, if I continue to fight, like I would have auto E up, I would still have more damage. And again, Nocturne is not in the position to counter gank me again. Now see, the biggest thing about Nocturne is like his biggest strength is he's really good at counter ganking people because he can do it from anywhere. He can do it from, as long as he's near the lane, he can counter gank. And that's like the biggest strength of him. So the way to play around that is you kind of have to force him to use his ults on people who he thinks are isolated, but then you kind of like you have to outplay it. You're outplaying vision mainly. Like, you're never putting yourself in a position where he can isolate you, and if you are isolated, it's because you're baiting him, right? It's not like a real isolation. You're just hovering around the person he thinks is isolated. It's kind of what I could have done for the Victor on the couple of his deaths, but it's worked out because when he ults Victor, now I know for sure he can't counter gank. He can't counter gank with his ult anymore. So it's kind of like a game of footsies in a way, where like if you pressure first, you have to be careful because Nocturne can ult. If he pressures first, then you can pressure somewhere else without any retaliation. And that's kind of like the footsies and mind games you can play with Nocturne. I know for sure that Nocturne's not bot side. He's looking for somewhere else right now. So I'm actually okay to go for this play here. I know that because there is no one else in bot lane right now for him to target, and there is no vision in his bot side jungle, so he was not going for me. And him trying to fight me here is not a good idea because I'm way stronger. I have 2 items on him. And you're about to see that right now. As soon as I'm not CC'd, I can just like destroy him. Now here I didn't immediately press Q because I wanted to make sure the minions took tower aggro first. But unfortunately, Darius shows up right at the wrong time. At a bad time for me, and he kills me, gets my shutdown. But Kayle comes in with her ulti, wipes the floor with them, and we're in a great position again all of a sudden. She kind of like brought back my mistake, like the biggest mistake of this game from me, which is really nice. Like, I thought she was gonna die, but she had her ultimate, so it all worked out. And I'm thinking the best item for me to go here is probably Thornmail, because if you press tab and look at their team, they're all AD. That's 4 auto-attacking champions, and every time they hit me, they're gonna be taking damage. And it's just really, really good to have lots of armor against team comps like this, so that you can tank so much and they are unable to do anything about it. And then I told Kayle to be careful because I gave Darius a lot of gold, so that she knows that he has the potential to actually outplay her now. That was my mistake, of course, but I'm just warning her. I'm letting her know, like, hey, I gave this guy a ton of gold. Be careful about him now. He's a threat. He's not like how you were when you're stomping him. We see a little pick we can go for on the Seraphine, me and the Ashe, and we played out really well. Kayle tries to, or Nocturne tries to go for the Kayle, but Kayle ends up like 1v2 or something. I think she kills Darius and Nocturne somehow. That's kind of crazy. And here I'm thinking, I don't need to do Dragon right now. I can just take his camps, set him even further behind. I go for his wolves too. So instead of like everyone goes on Dragon, I take his camps, and get pressure for us in the mid lane, and you know, do 2 things at once. You know, instead of just doing one thing when we have a advantageous position, let's do 2 things, get even more of an advantage. So I take his all of his camps that are available. I'm thinking if Graves walks into me here, I can kill him. But then I see like the word drop by Seraphine. I see Nocturne go mid, and then I finally decide to leave. I'm trying to go around the vision though, so I don't get spotted. And now I'm pinging like maybe we can go for a play because I'm behind. I have a really good flank. But then I see everyone reset, so I'm not going to force anything here. I'm just going to be like, okay, everyone reset. I'm going to reset too, buy my item, and then let's start and go to the top side of the map and play for this Baron. We're really in a good position. Like the enemy team, they don't have much scaling that can actually fight us. The Graves is the only one who has like gold on him right now. Maybe the Darius too because I gave him a shutdown. But overall, we're in a really good spot. I don't really see us losing this game at all. All because I decided to get to bot lane first. I counter ganked, or I ganked the bot lane with no sums before Nocturne had a chance to get there. He wanted to match me, and what he found out is it's not good to match junglers who act first as a full clearing jungler. If you want a full clear safely, you want a full clear towards the lane that gives you prio and away from the enemy jungler, so you don't have to face any contentions. You don't have to contest anything. You don't have to contest your camps. You don't have to contest Scuttlecraft. You can just take everything without retaliation. That's the whole point of pathing away from the enemy jungler. But you only do that if you win the 1v1. Nocturne does win 1v1 versus me as Vi. However, problem is I'm gonna act first. I can beat him by acting before he acts, and that's exactly what I did. And now the game is just snowballing out of control. Darius is trying to split bot lane, which is nice, but we have Kale and Nyla backing to stop him, and me and Victor are continuing the push to get the inhibitor. After this base, I have a ton of gold to spend. I was thinking if I could get more. I was looking at the death timers here. I'm thinking, hey, maybe we can get more than just this. And I see Darius pull the Victor, and Victor puts a really bad W down. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to leave now. So on my way out, I start taking the Nocturne's camps. This is a little dangerous. I probably should have popped Sweeper, because if I was on Vision, Nocturne could have ulted me and their team could have engaged on me. But by the Darius's posture, just the way that he's like going top lane instead of rushing to me, kind of tells me like the enemy team is not chasing me right now because Darius went top lane rather than going to my location. I immediately Q over the wall, ult, able to get my ult off before he gets his spell shield so that Kale can just auto him to death. I'm pinging here, Kale, let's fight, because she is ulti. And I'm like, okay, we're really strong. If we just fight together here, we can literally just wipe the floor with them. And she's like, nah, she wants to go get that blue buff. And then we see Graves in the mid lane alone. She flashes on him to get the slow. She's got neutralize. And then she pops her ulti because she can't see, most likely. And I come over to help her finish off the kill. Now here, I'm trying to do something. This is kind of advanced. If you're really strong, you can do this. I don't really recommend doing this, but I was trying to cut off the enemy's bot lane from going to the top tower so that my bot lane can siege without them being interfered with. And that's why I'm charging Q here. I clear the wave, and I get, if I got ulted on by Nocturne here and the bot lane collapsed on me, I actually would have been screwed. But the Nocturne actually goes for someone else, and actually nothing happens. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing over here? The whole point of me walking up was so I can get this tower. So I get this tower with my team. Get this inhib. We're pushing in. And I probably should have stayed here, but I had a lot of gold. I'm like, I really don't want to die with 3k gold in my bank right now. So I'm going to just buy and come back. And I was thinking, like, they're fine without me. But this happens to be the final push of the game. And that ends the game. So hopefully you guys learned something about jungle tracking in this video. The fact that I followed the Nocturne and was able to tell where he started just off that little information. And I hope you guys learned something. This is Klassicalkill out.